Hello, I am Matthew Small, a Senior Escalation Engineer on the Windows Store Developer Solutions team. This is the second entry of my series called WebView Magic Tricks. In this series, I show you how to manipulate the WebView control using JavaScript invoked by your C# application. Today's topic is WebView Zoom. WebView is a browser embedded into a Windows Store application. The content of the WebView always renders at 100% of the normal resolution of the machine where it is running. However, the size of the WebView may not fit the size of the content very well. For instance, it is possible that the HTML hosted inside the WebView does not allow all of the content to be seen at the size of the WebView. It is also possible that users of the app may want to see the content at a larger or smaller size than 100% of the machine's resolution. This presents a problem because the WebView does not have a built-in zoom function. However, this can be remedied by the use of CSS and JavaScript invoked into the WebView. Let's check out the application. In this app, we are hosting a WebView that is sized large enough to see all of the hosted content at once. In this case, the WebView is set to 1200 by 800 on my screen. To change the zoom level of the hosted content within the WebView, we have three methods. First, a set of buttons that will change to discrete pre-chosen sizes. Next, a slider control that will allow for ranges of sizes between 1% and 200%. Lastly, a text box input that allows for the user to set to any integer value. To change to a discrete size, just click any one of the buttons. First, I will click on the 50% size. Notice that the content is smaller than it was previously. I can now click on 100% to get back to my original size. It works the same for all of the buttons. To use the slider, I simply move the thumbnail. Notice that the content changes with the value of the slider. Finally, I input a custom size for the content. Here I set the size to 150%. Let's do a brief overview of the code. First, our XAML code consists simply of basic controls. There are no storyboards or any logic in this page. Secondly, the C# code contains only handlers for the controls in the XAML page. These handlers in general all do the same thing. They invoke a JavaScript function called zoom function, which takes an integer parameter. This parameter represents the zoom level size. Greater than 100 represents zoom in, and less than 100 represents zoom out. Lastly, we are using an HTML page which contains both JavaScript and HTML. This HTML page is loaded by the WebView directly. The JavaScript contains a zoom function code. It operates by changing a CSS property called zoom. This property does not work in every browser, but it works perfectly fine in Internet Explorer, which is the basis for the WebView control. Zoom is set to an integer number. The zoom function also does calculations with the overflow properties of the page for aesthetic purposes. The HTML hosts an iframe which ultimately hosts the web page desired, and here's why. The zoom function is a CSS property which operates only on a single element at a time. If we loaded the full HTML of the web page into WebView, we would need to individually change the zoom level for every single element, which can be difficult. However, if we host the HTML inside an iframe, we can change the zoom property of the iframe alone, thus allowing us to apply the zoom to the entire page in a simple manner. I hope that this demonstration of WebView Zoom is useful to you. The location for the source code is on the screen. Please feel free to ask me questions about it on our blog, in the forums, by tweeting me, WinDevMatt, or by email, msmall@microsoft.com.